Hi there.
It's very nice to meet you.
What's your name?
I'm Ian.
Hi, Ian.
Yes. So God says that you can own people as property. He says that you can beat them with a rod too. He commands genocide in Deuteronomy, in Numbers, and in Samuel. I mean, they have a goddamn baby barbecue in Numbers. Like,
Okay.
Wow.
Well, someone has an axe to grind.
Yeah,
Let's just say that, because holy cow.
Goodness.
He's trying to make the point that all these things were moral in the Bible? Well, okay. I'm going to keep going for a little bit longer just in case he has anything else to add, and then we can deal with the shotgun.
Yeah,
before you
play that, I do already find it ironic that he said a goddamn baby barbecue.
Exactly.
Well, the prompt is you absorb Christian values without actually realizing it.
Yes.
That has to be that's perfect irony. That is perfect irony.
this in line with Christian ethics?
No.
Okay. Good. Stop there.
Good.
For a second. Okay. So that seems to be its answer. If that is it, okay, that was actually a really impressive short answer by Jordan Peterson. And that's a mic drop point in my perspective, because it seems I'd like to be able just to get to the quick without too many words on it.
Yeah.
So the Bible. Holy cow. Okay, so he spat out a lot. One, you cannot own people if he's referring to slavery in the Bible. That isn't in indentured servitude, not slavery, not chattel slavery, which would be someone owning someone else. And there are a lot of rules that go along with it. The indentured servant has rights, including a term limit.
Mm-hmm.
He is only there for a limited time, and then he's set free and is his own independent person.
Mm.
And these weren't really long term. If memory serves, it was only every 7 years, basically, that you would set all of the slaves free.
Yeah, assuming that they
So-
identify with Israel, if they choose to identify with the people of Israel, then they can have the 7-year Jubilee freedom. And so, yeah, that's all they would have to do. Just say, like, I assent to Yahweh as God. And as long as they're part of the Jewish or the Yahweh worshipers, then they would have the 7-year limit, and that'd be pretty sick.
Fix the poll. What did I do with the poll?
Yeah, I was just seeing that. Did Jordan Peterson win or lose this discussion? Yes or no? It's not clear what yes is and what no is.
It's not clear yes or no.
Define yes, and it's literally a Jordan Peterson answer. That's
Okay, that comes out of watching way too much Jordan Peterson.
Exactly. I think that's great.
Let me go ahead and end that real quick.
I'm legitimately gonna clip that moment.
Crap on.
I'm gonna clip that moment of Peterson just saying no. I've never heard him give such a no.
Such a straightforward answer.
It's awesome.
Okay, I will fix it to either win or lose.
Yeah.
To be clear.
As you're doing that, I think it is important to notice and focus here that this young Ian character is, obviously trying to hop out with all of your common quotes and common statements, right? Which, number one, it's really important to understand that a bunch of the Torah-based, statements and commands are actually, and I think that I don't buy your poll. I think it's important to understand, and you see this a lot with the literature and academic literature on the history of law-based commands and religious texts. You see this in Inspiring Philosophy's channel. A lot of the Torah is actually more like a type of intelligent legal wisdom literature, where it's like, here's how a wise king would rule, but that also doesn't mean that in every single instance and judgment, this is the only way to rule. These are just some wise guiding principles for it. So I think that's important to understand. And then also in Deuteronomy, we should understand that comparable to all of its contemporary sources at the time in terms of indentured servitude or slave treatment, this is actually pretty robust and pretty impressive, right? God is willing to, I don't know if I want to say acquiesce, but at least allow for certain provisions and permissions in the same way that he did for polygamy, right, in the Old Testament. It's more so a requirement of the culture at the time, because if women weren't married, then they had no other real means of income that's in a moral way. And so the allowance for a woman to be married into a marriage where a man's already married was just to make sure she has some way to stay alive, some way to be provided for. And so in like fashion, we don't have some sort of like legal system that had jails per se. But what we did have is we had a way for people to pay off their debts in the ancient world through indentured servitude, in war-based discussions and war as well. There's a way to pay off your debts or the wrong you've committed against the nation by losing a battle. And, we still kind of have this in Guantanamo Bay in America. So I don't think it's fair to say that this is like completely absent from the modern ethic. But finally, just as a quick note, the atheist says all of this as if it's like a known thing to be bad. He says it as if, again, it's just, it's accepted that it's wrong to own people. It's accepted that it's wrong to, kill babies. Well, okay. I don't know how far that atheist would go in terms of his modern political persuasions, but at least right now he's saying it's wrong to kill babies. And then he says that, there's a genocide happening. Well, the only issue, Thaddeus, perhaps you can illuminate people in the audience on this. Why would a genocide be an essentially wrong thing?
Well, I mean, under atheism, I'm going to have to say this again because atheists always mishear me. I'm not saying that atheists would hold this position,
yes,
right? Individual atheists will, in fact, hold Christian values. But under atheism, there's nothing logic to tell you that human beings killing other human beings would be wrong. In fact, you could make an argument that your highest purpose, so to speak, is to propagate your own DNA. So if you're killing people from a different ethnic group, you're in fact eliminating competing DNA that is not as similar to you as people of your own ethnic group. So you could even argue that genocide is morally justified under atheism, survival of the fittest type outlook on things.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, it's almost an essential conclusion, since according to ethnography, right, the study of behaviors and how behaviors evolve, so evolutionary ethnography, according to Tim Bergen and a lot of the other ethnographers who study behavior, they say all behaviors and all predispositions and all beliefs arise from evolutionary developments, right? It's not like you choose to do things, so you don't choose to believe things, and you don't choose to have preferences for or against different races and how you treat them. It's all just part of your evolutionary process, right, from your ancestors and onwards. So obviously, if someone seems to be less genetically related to you, then you're going to have a preference against them. Well, some of the easiest ways to tell someone is genetically different from you is by phenotype, external appearance. Well, if someone's skin is a different color, or if they have different bodily, appearances or different clothing, so that's like a type of manifestation of difference, then you have justifiable reason under an atheistic worldview, if somebody was actually consistent, which isn't going to happen, but if they were, then they could say, oh, well, this is justified because I obviously have to care for the people who I'm most closely genetically related to in order to increase their physical and sexual fitness. Atheism has no answer for all Zut. Actually,
we didn't get say on topic, but yes, Alzut will be coming up in the next week quite a bit. So that will be something I will be focusing on later.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
So far, just evaluating right now. Sorry, the atheist here is losing it because he's just vomited up a bunch of talking points and assume that they're all true, which, again, all of them aren't. In fact, if you look at each of the cases that he's talking about, genocide or some sort of attack going on and wiping them out, just like we had a conversation last time on this, there's a lot more going on, and there was a lot of stuff leading up to that. It wasn't just an isolated, like, all of a sudden, oh, just go. I don't like how these people's eyes look today. Just go wipe them all out. It wasn't something flippant like that. It was something caused by their continued aggression against the Israelites and doing horrendous acts.